Welcome back, folks, to NA Challengers. I must say, I'm starting to like this hotel setup because I can rest my arms straight on a desk and kind of do like the Mimi, like I'm thinking every time I speak, and it's very, very comfortable. But gentlemen, we just got to witness an amazing matchup between MXS and SAT Esports, where an upset victory came through SAT Esports, a rare win, and hopefully many more to come. But we have another banger of a series coming up next, and that's going to be QOR versus TSM. Now, when you hear this matchup off the rip here, Uber, what comes to mind? Is it going to be a one-sided match? Is it going to be a TSM win? Are we going to see an upset? What flows through your state?
If you had asked me this question in stage one, my answer would be extremely different. But we are dealing with a core team that has struggled with their form lately, right? I think losses to, like they go up against Turtle Troop, Go Bros, and M80, right? They don't win any of those matches. They do get a map against Turtle Troop, which is pretty notable. But even M80 have been a little bit shaky, themselves lately. So that was back when M80 still had Nitro, if I'm not mistaken. It was like yeah. So again, this was a team that has a lot of individual ability, especially maps where Zeldris is able to play Jet and start to take the game over. They look really good. They're going up against a team in TSM who I would not say are completely settled and stable themselves. I think that this TSM team still has a lot to prove. Again, it's a roster with a ton of name power, name brand, but we just saw MXS get slapped around. So that only takes you so far these days.
100%. And when you're looking at this roster too, usually it's a roster that doesn't need too many introductions, but there has been some subs here and there, and some role changes going from week after week as well here, Keg. Especially when you're looking at how Poise and Seven kind of like are switching up these roles, where maybe Seven could be playing a little bit more of this Sky now instead of Poise. So we're starting to see that a TSM that seems to be still trying to find their identity in this roster.
And I think that's okay. I feel like most teams so far in Stage 2 are looking for that identity still, given how the meta's shaken up so much over the last few weeks. But I think that gives QOR a lot more playing ground to work with going into this series. If we looked at TSM Stage 1 or last year, I think this would be a more one-sided affair, Vans. But given now that we are seeing so many changes, I think QOR could definitely make this like a map 3.
Yeah, and especially when you're looking at TSM and QOR, I don't like to coin this as in a bad way of calling it a battle of the mids. It's just like but it's like the mid of the rankings, right? If you're looking at it. So there's everybody at this point is pretty much fighting for like that number 8 to number 4, I'd like to say, to try to make it through the playoffs. And any one of these teams, from even this B-roll that you're watching, where they played against Fluffy Aimers, that's also another team that's currently battling to try to just squeak through towards that playoffs. Maybe not as dominant in terms of performances coming out of these teams, but they definitely have these moments where they could shine, pop off. And I feel that this has been the story of Challengers so far, Uber, because this is literally what just happened to SAT Esports against MXS, a team that on paper shouldn't have won against MXS, yet they can still find moments where they pop off and they're looking like the best team in the league so far. And maybe TSM could be one of those today.
Yeah, I think like SAT are not afraid to look for an edge, on some of these maps, like Haven, for example. There's some of our more established teams with more rigid structures and sort of directives from coaching staff might not have actually been able to try out yet. So this is, in situations where Haven comes up, for example, I think that's huge. Also situations where you can bring like an ISO or a Neon in, or, continue to abuse the deadlock on some of these maps. So that's probably where you should be looking if you don't necessarily feel like you're on even footing in a coaching capacity. This TSM team, genuinely, we expect them to be individually incredibly strong. Someone like a Proto, it's a little bit criminal that some of these players are honestly still in challenges fighting for their spot at Ascension. And this team, though, TSM, they have underperformed on multiple occasions. Looking at the strength of this roster, you've got Sim, GMD, Seven, who are poised. These players are all who have like top tier 1, top level experience, right?
Yeah.
You do want to see them start to look a little bit more dominant. And the time is right, because in their group, M80 is slumping. Right, they're looking a little bit weak. Like TSM might be the kind of team that could start to make a run. Who else is in this group? Maybe Dark Zero, the only team that like arguably should just have their number right now, as they have everyone. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to see TSM come alive today. I think a win here is nothing short of essential against another 0-3 team who've only won one map so far this stage.
I think it's going to be a rough week, though, for TSM, because some of their best maps have been the maps where you force uncomfortability against enemy teams. So we saw Lotus, we saw Breeze being some of their top maps. Some of the top maps have had the best win percentages for them, too. Breeze is gone now. You can't just rely on raw aim and wide angles anymore to win those games. Now, depending on what the veto is going to look like, TSM's going to have to play a lot more condensed than they're used to.
Yeah, and to add a point on that, because you were talking about it before, Breeze usually is their best map for TSM, having a chance to speak to their coach and also to GMD, yet they still went 3-3 in that season so far, and this season so far. So you're starting to see that despite playing their best maps, it's getting veto against them when they're able to finally float it, they're still not getting the best victories and convincing victories out of those. So there are those moments where they're going to be up and down, and hopefully for TSM fans, it's not going to be the down this time around. But they are playing against this roster right here, Core Gaming, who, as you've just mentioned here, Uber, a team this split has not won a series yet, has only won a map so far, but there's still so much potential around this team. There's, even if you're looking at this highlight reel, there's moments where Zeldris is able to put the matter into their own hands. But I think that's the story as well for Core. Whenever it comes down to, you know, the coaching staff that you have around this team, and you come up with a certain game plan, there's still a lot of individualistic plays that are coming out from these players that allows for Core to maybe get a couple of rounds. But I feel that they still need that extra oomph, that extra synergy to really be a strong Core, no pun intended.
Yeah, look, I think that like this team were always strong. I mentioned it earlier, right? Like allowing Zeldris to play the Jet, but also just in general, like maps like Ascent or ones where they could play those more standard compositions where T-Dog could play the Sova, for example. They look really, really good. I think the loss to M80 was like, what, last week? Yeah, last week. It was like they got thrashed on that map. And I'm thinking this is supposed to be, I know it's M80, right? So like a lot of those like very classic maps, the very popular ones, you know, you do expect a team like M80 to be rock solid on here, but that's where Core is supposed to be really distinguishing themselves here against a lot of these other rosters. So they might have to look elsewhere to find edges like that. I think, you know, we've seen on Sunset, for example, this team has also had decent success in the past. They like, it was at the end of May, they freaking flattened Turtle Troop on Sunset. I think they like gave up like 2 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. That's like a great map for them, right, in general, even though they're sort of showing a 4-3 record. So if we get a map pool that has like Ascent, Icebox, Breeze obviously not available. I mean, if they can get Sunset, Ascent, Icebox, I'm feeling okay about them. But that's probably more because like TSM have just been unconvincing for me over the last few weeks, and even that stage 1.
I want to bank on that when you talk about Icebox. Despite the record showing 2-4, one of those losses was against a Turtle Troop that went into overtime that you needed some insane calling coming out from both the IGLs, being T-Dog on the side of Core and then Stellar on the side of Dark Zero, aka Turtle Troop. By the way, welcome Dark Zero to Challengers. Thank you so much for supporting the scene. Now that said, I agree with you here, Uber, that this should be a good map pool for Core going against TSM today, Keg.
Yeah, it's really hard to compare Core for last week, too, against M80 for a few different factors. M80, they just switched up their IGL, so having T-Dog go up against Xander now, who's taking a much more aggressive stance in those early round calls, makes things a lot more difficult for him to pivot around for those mid to late rounds. But I want to focus our attention before we get into the vetoes that we do have Zeldris still, right?
Yeah.
Homie just graduated high school. Like, he's got time to grind now. Yeah, how do you think I feel?
Mitch, you're so old, man. Mitch, you're so old.
We're old. But no, he just graduated high school, right? And so that was one of the first big games post graduation where he could just play nonstop, right? At least he's getting paid for it. We just grinded games without doing anything when we were in high school. But now that there's been a little bit more time to kind of adjust and allow that level up from Zeldris, I'm really expecting higher results this week.
I mean, Vans was in Jesus Christ class. So basically, they got to skip school a lot because he was out doing miracles and such. So they kind of had it easy,
Dude, we were eating good, man. Like, all you had to do was take one piece of bread, and somehow we had so much salmon for everybody.
Dude, lunchtimes would have been honestly. And every time the wise men come to visit, you guys, you know, you get some great new fragrances, you know.
Showered in gold.
Like, damn, no Axe body spray for you guys. You had that frankincense. Holy.
I like that smell. I like that smell. But before we derail even more, let's actually go into those map vetoes that you both were talking about, and we're expecting to see if we had a chance to see some Ascent, some Icebox, and, you know, some Breeze at some point. If it was still in there, you would favor Core at this point. And now, Uber, I'm gonna pass it back to you again. We're looking at this veto system and this veto process, and we actually do have Ascent and Icebox. So are you now going to favor Core that they won the veto, that they might have a better chance here to upset TSM today?
No, I'm not going. But this is, I mean, for me, this is bare minimum, I think, for Core to make a competitive series happen. I won't rule it out, I think. The problem is that when your best map is Ascent, you are going to run into a lot of teams that are generally well drilled. It's like one of the first that you pick up in your map pool unless you've decided that it's going to be your permaban, which all of a sudden then leaves you having to like be really good on some really obscure maps, right, to have a good like macro strategy. So look, you know, that's a map that where TSM are going to have some, you know, capability, I think. Again, TSM haven't played that this stage. In stage 1, they played Ascent a total of 1 time and lost to SAD Esports. So, you know, I'm curious to see the fact that this comes up. TSM have left it open because they don't want to deal with the sunset. I think that makes perfect sense, and they're not ready on Haven yet. So seeing that ban out from TSM makes me think, okay, they're going to allow Core to sneak some of these, you know, great maps for them in.
What worries me the most about this veto for TSM is that Core is starting on defense second on Ascent. If you have the same usual 5 suspects on both sides and it's a mirror comp, 85 to 90% of the time, if your first half is the attack and your second half is the defense, you automatically win.
But at least bank it on that. Now we're looking at it, because I know once we have this discourse of Ascent out as one of the maps here for, in general, when it's actually being floated through the vetoes, it's like, oh, well, it's a lot defender-sided, it's a lot defender-sided, it's a lot defender-sided, but you're starting to see a lot of teams are able to get good value on their attack sides, getting like 4-5 rounds on top of that. And the reason why is because you kind of already know like the right positions of where somebody should be playing. Like if you're going to play Ascent and you're playing that regular comp, who's playing P? It's most likely your Silva. Your KG could be playing there or switching over to the A site. So you're going to default a lot. Once you find that information, it now comes down to who's now playing the better timings and the better macro at that point on decision making that's being done here by the teams based on the information that they get. So it's almost daunting as a player on top of that, as a crew, to get the maximum value out of a map like this, because you're not leveraging like, oh, it's a defender-sided map, we're going to be able to win this. You're going to have to be a lot more active in what you're seeing and what you're noticing within the map to have the right calls as a group to be able to win that. So I think this could still go back and forth on the map here of Ascent for both of these teams. The thing, though, I want to add, though, is that this might be difficult for TSM a bit when you're looking at this veto, because one, Breeze is under rotation anymore, that you just mentioned here, King, which then means their favorite map, their best map, is gone. And then on top of that, the Lotus was banned here by Core, which was most likely their second best map for TSM, looking at the stage 1 and now going into stage 2. So you had to play your third, and then everything following that is not the cleanest either. So I feel that you're in a period now for TSM that has to rework that map veto and your map pool into your favor, where I'm going to have to disagree with you, Uber. I might think that Core might take this over TSM just by those map vetoes and by that analogy.
That's crazy, Van Silly cheering for an underdog. That's just so out of character for you, buddy. Honestly.
But is it really underdog, right? Because I talked about the battle of the mids at this point, where everybody's pretty much on the same playing field.
We said last week Core is like the permanent underdog. They have fought as like they have been. Look, even before open quals, right? They've always been seen as that team that can't make it too far. But they've been surprising us way back since like last summer. LAN finals, they lost to OXG. They fought through open quals. They made it here, and they've been doing a pretty good job stopping themselves out of relegation. But, you know, compared to a lot of namestay talent, it's still kind of hard for them to prove a name in the scene.
TSM should be better than they are. They should have a better record.
Yeah.
I mean, TSM should have been better than they are. M80 should have been better than they are. MXS should have been better today. Like it's like the story of the underdog. It works. Maybe there is something out there, right? The script here for Riot is not about like who's the best team or like favorites always winning. We're able to make a very competitive stage so far here for the North American Challengers, but that is also going to resume after this break, because we're still waiting for some of the players to get ready here before we get into the lobby to kick things off between Core and TSM on Ascent, coming up next.
face.
Thanks for sticking with us, folks. It is Core versus TSM here on good old Ascent. Core 0-3 right now here in Stage 2 of Challengers, still searching for that first win, but perhaps spurred on by Sad finding theirs in the previous matchup. They'll bring a little bit more fire and fury into this one. TSM are 1-2, like we were talking about before the break, Max. A little unconvincing. We're not sold on this team. And both rosters are coming with the standard Ascent squads. Strap yourselves in for some good old-fashioned Valorant.
Now, call me a little superstitious, but when we have two teams the same mirror comps on Ascent, the attacking team, when they swap to the defense, they usually come out the victors. The attacking side of Ascent, when you have these 5 and only these 5, is so difficult. And Vance alluded to it too back on the desk, is that everyone and their mother knows exactly what the attacking strats look like and how to pivot, where to be, the general locations. That's going to put a lot of shoulders on the IGLs of both teams to really try to outsmart one another on a macro scale.
Yeah, I think also like a lot will have to do with, do we see one of these teams, pick up an operator on their jet player early, and can they exploit it or abuse it, right? No one's trying to do anything weird with ISO or anything like that. So, the rules of engagement for this run on Ascent will look like many in the past. It's a group of 3 here over towards the A site. No early one-way here from GMD, so Core able to walk up in. The top mid is smoked out, so TSM in the dark so far as to where Core is set up. Some action here, some noise being made in B to sell this a little bit.
Quick note too, Ziff playing Cypher, usually the KJ. Last time we had seen it was actually on my birthday, April 17th, against OXG. Let's see now. Good split push here, A side given up. TSM may be looking to play a quick retake here if they need to, or willing to hold on to B site. Very stealthy pushing though.
Did GMD see them?
I don't think so.
What a timing to find here. Well, they're about to give it away, but they've got Zeldris tucked really deep here. Taking a heaven position could be devastating, and Snarly's able to take down Gimon through the masonry of that corner. And with the player already set up here, Zeldris may be able to play off a flash or just take a raw swing in the direction of Sim. TSM sluggishly dragging themselves across the map here, and they get a suppression tag on the jet. Smoke thrown up.
Oh, good flash. Oh, the push up. No one's watching top heaven.
Zeldris here able to get back behind Gen. TSM with 2 left to work with now. Proto dropping down into the line of fire. Zeldris looking comfortable now. 2 players at main to play off of, and an uninspired pistol round from TSM means Core can walk up and take whatever they please.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know what the game plan was defensively for TSM on retaking A site. Gave up the site very early on. Must have read into the fact that Core historically on that attack, or for pistol, excuse me, they love to push into B very quickly. No mid presence, no B presence, not a lot of poking and probing coming out from TSM either on A. Now they're the ones gamble stacking on A site this round, and I'd say they may be gamble stacking correctly. A 4v4 here. Better weaponry Mitch though from Core's end. This should be a messy round 2.
Yeah, the triple stack here. Oh, excuse me.
Oh,
stack.
what is this?
There's levels to it.
It's like a pirate ship cannonball set up here.
Oh,
yeah, I'd run away too. No, Core, we're gonna go. What's up?
The 100th EU stack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Core gonna go back and VOD review that later and be like, wow, I'm glad we didn't go A site. B though, completely empty. A single Cypher cam there to guard the site. Good rotation from TSM already. They're ready for that explosivity. They have a really good general timing about the defense of this map. Know when to push.
Hang on. They're just gonna... The TSM have had time to take this whole stack over towards B. I actually get grouped up here in main. They might just go for a confirmation swing here. Yeah, they see it. Ziff able to spray them down though. That is pretty unsuccessful. It's TSM now. Still 2 players left on this side, but you have enough time to rotate back. It's just that Sim is the potential spanner in the works here. And he knows what's coming. Tailwind's already popped. That's 1. Holds his ground for 2. And now the spike goes loose. 7 found Ziff elsewhere. So it is a 2 versus 3 favoring the defenders. And Sim gets out. I'd say scot-free, but Snarly catches him as he tries to make his way towards mid. And the spike is heading across the map. Okay. All right,
wow. A very odd start to this game. Did like the game plan though. Silent rotations from Core, just waiting out the timer, looking for those overly anxious opening peaks, and well, they got them, but I don't think we expected TSM to find so many bodies along the way. Snarly though, good lurk up on A. Very unconventional attacking strats so far from Core's end. Does make this map a lot more interesting.
I'll take it at this point. So far, pretty glacial pace from both these sides. For a very light bonus.
They're just investing in that Vandal, though. Be a big investment, especially that Vandal's lost early on. Very slow opener here. Good default from Core. Throwing out utility, not a lot of it regenerative. Now Aldron's going to spot out that no one's tree just yet, but everyone else is hiding away. This tells me, though, I don't think the access point's going to be door. I think they're trying to go in the tree in the backside.
Yeah, Sim knows he has the better weapon here and is more than happy to challenge through that smoke. Respects it not at all. Now moving into a mid-pinch position, so Market's going to get some action. Proto playing with inside his own cyber cage and does take a hit. Zelda spotted. Oh, caught inside the tripwire. It's too easy for a Proto. And a swing to account for Ziff. And TSM get themselves on the board. Again, after a little bit of a glacial start to the map after losing that pistol.
Yeah, I'm imagining now that buys are ramping up here, especially with the introduction of Operators soon and the Odins of Sovas. We should be able to see a much faster game plan come out from both teams. But that onus is really going to come down on TSM. If they make those big investments earlier on, it's going to keep Core playing very slowly, hoping for the best of those over-rotations from TSM to be exploited. But if they want to continue to rock just rifles, it's going to mean TSM, they can play this as fast as they humanly want, and Core will have no choice but to capitulate and play alongside it. Okay. Nothing found early on with the information. A lot of noise made with this recon bolt inside a tree to A site. Gamble stack 3K once again.
And Horde of Wildebeest here. This is the pace that we'd like to see from Core. Zeldris just takes that challenge raw. Gimon had a trade out there, but there was more where that came from. Players flanking Zeldris. They've wrapped all the way through Heaven now. 7 is suppressed and still able to hold his own. Nerve brought down. 7 knows what's coming on the other side of that. It takes a push up to Gen from Ziff to actually deal with that anchored KO. And now TSM have that player advantage. They've dealt with a very unconventional push up here. And Ziff is all alone. With all the info, can see all the cards. But has to deal with the Proto. A consummate duelist in his own right, and Ziff gets it done. That is a bizarre round.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you, Mitch. I think all these rounds have been really bizarre, but it's been fun to watch. I mean, again, we talked about the win condition for both these teams having to be to outsmart one team over another. This isn't a battle of mechanical versus mechanical like we saw in the previous series. This is a map that both these teams have been playing for years, figuring out how they can outposition one another and just catch each other off guard. Ziff in that 1v2 did such a great job using all the cards in his possession to take away another round from TSM and make their buys a lot more rough again. This time it's B. Early shock dart, make that 2 now from Poised.
Look at the pace variation here between the last 2 rounds. Now they've really slowed it down.
Adaptable calling coming out from Core's end.
Cybercam here, obviously, is an issue. Zeldris is ready to rush in. Sight, updraft, tailwind spotted out there briefly, though, by their recon. So Zeldris now needs to be very considered about his next move. He'll just take a raw swing. TSM, though, comfortable in this style of play. This is something I think Van Silly brought up. You know, the Core really do play like very contact heavy at times and try and lean into their mechanical ability. TSM, I mean, it just bounces off them in this round.
And we saw that a lot last week too, where Core will set up purposely just for Zeldris to push in and find that opening pick and just create that space to win out a round. But when that's shut down, and it was quite a bit last week for them, it becomes a lot more difficult for these attacking rounds to find impact.
Well, Ziff here is really just awaiting a meeting with his maker. Spike a long way away inside switch room, and there are 4 players with one converging eventually on his position. Gimon going the scenic route here. 20 seconds left. Ziff's odds of recovering or maintaining this rifle also not exactly at a premium. And he's been waiting for this backstep for so long.
He's just waiting to farm up ult at this point.
Left.
If he can remove at least one, he'd be 1 off from neural theft into the next round.
He takes it by me. Oh,
unlucky.
Ziff. Yeah, tough to save that gun. Eventually, Gimon did come calling. Pretty patient, conservative play from TSM here. But again, stalwart defending. Core do really try to rush in on them, but Zeldris dashes onto a recon. Seemed to be kind of alone there inside Switch House for quite a while. Maybe B main was smoked off, but looked a little bit haphazard for the attackers.
Yeah, it's one thing that Core struggled with historically is that they'll allow Zeldris to push in, but the follow-through sometimes is lacking. And even if you do see big push-ins, there's a lack of clearing out corners oftentimes from the team too. Something that needs to be corrected sooner rather than later. A lot of ultimates now stacked up for TSM. You have nothing but pistols on Core's side. You're trying your best to bait out those ults. You really want that null command gone on a thrifty round like this.
Got Recon intending to probably ping out a cross to wine. On here playing close contact. And Core with pretty rough weaponry to work with now. We're just trying to draw someone out. Slightest gap in that smoke, but no opportunity to really exploit that because the Proto is being very patient in hell over at A. We're drifting over. Core with a 1-round lead, that's about to dwindle, is our expectation at least. They do have Hunter's Fury available, but TSM have found themselves a nice little niche here and they are settling in.
Yeah, and bring out that Hunter's Fury on a broken buy like this is a very risky move. Could be possible, though. Build up some space, allow Zeldris to push in. Maybe take backside control, remove a Proto. Could be a good start, but again, the pieces have to fall perfectly for that to happen. There's this lurk, though, from Ziff. Baited out by the knife. They know exactly where the KO's at now. Hoping just to bait out rotates back over towards A side, but spotted out by the cam, it's all but over.
Yeah. Keeping to it B is the best they can hope for, I think, Keg. Proto here. Hunter's Fury coming in here on a bit of a save round, but Gimond more than happy to place some close contact on the site. T-Dog in midair there. It's a tickle, at least, on Gimond. But it's really only him, and the spike is all the way over towards Tree. You see it there dropped in the corner. So no opportunity to recover that here. Looks like Ziff and T-Dog might be exiting the round with very little. Maybe hand over some ult orbs at least. And that'll be that. TSM close it out to even up the game. Losing the pistol round doesn't seem to hurt them too badly. Settling into this defensive side, but they've already conceded 3 attacking rounds. Core could be happy with just a few more heading into the half.
I'm just really worried, Mitch, that the Hunter's Fury was used on such a broken buy round that you won't be able to have any impact on it post-plant for future rounds this half. You may be able to sneak in one more, but it takes a lot for Hunter's Fury to come online. And yeah, it's been a big struggle for Core to get that spike into the ground. Probably not looking to rely on it too much for late round plays. But now that the operator's out, can't use it to drive away the position of Sim either. And they're a sentinel in of themselves on this defense. Keep repositioning quite a bit now.
Seven does not opt to shoulder check this mid, by the way. He just drifts across.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, there is no alarm bot there either. It's going to make the timings a little bit different. Shooting out the tripwire, though, it's a good start, at least for TSM, to get some sort of information, but the follow-through is non-existent. There is a Proto watching from stairs, top of Marketplace. Might be the contingency factor of not jumping over.
Could be the operator's
so slow.
presence. Yeah, this, again, very default defensive setup here, and it's Seven that kind of hedges between either of the sites. The Cypher util in mid, there was a trip there that's been removed now, so the early detection system has activated for TSM. Mon swings into that. This gets a little bit antsy. I guess they feel that giving up mid, they don't really have an opportunity to peer into the center part of the map through any other avenue. So give one up for free. They're over towards Catwalk. TSM now needs to try and find a way to keep Core at arm's length, and T-Dog just moves straight up through towards Heaven. The operator finds purchase eventually. Smoke out towards CT though, and you can see Core now drifting across towards that B in earnest. Surely not.
Oh, Proto. Dangerous game. Core went for the aggressive default, just looking to see if that operator was available, and they finally found it, pivoted the B site. Got rid of the operator.
And the rest of the defenders here. Nicely done. And look, I mean, we've seen our fair share of Ascent rounds, right? It definitely plays out as you'd expect, right? That mid control behind the L drone, scale in, and then eventually, have some element, of radicality. That was T-Dog pushing up, grass over towards, broken window. Takes a fight there. We did see Core really try and sell that A, keep 2 players, keep 1 player a day for as long as possible here. So pretty straightforward stuff. But Core on the execution side looked pretty good. Ziff having a pretty decent game himself.
I mean, look, if you're Core, you just won that such a slow but aggressive round, and you forced TSM to go for a very early timeout. You're feeling good. You have found a winning way of bypassing these attacking rounds that are just so notoriously hard for a map like Ascent. I mean, all things considered, getting 4 rounds in the attack, if you're Core, you're already feeling really good. You've hit the bare minimum of what you need to switch over to the defense. But now the big question has to be, where's the proactivity from Sim and that operator? It needs to come out this next round if they could afford it. At the very least, and it's a risky strat, Mitch, but honestly, I would bring out a Marshall or even an Outlaw here, just to put that aggressive presence on the board against Core.
Well, I think giving up mid is a strategy we see a lot of teams go for, but, you know, with only a tripwire up there, you've gone away from the Killjoy. Now we're bringing the Cypher onto this map, as both teams have opted to do. It can feel a little bit nerve-wracking. That's why Kimon ends up taking that peek over towards Catwalk, because they don't have any other way of getting info. They don't have a, you know, a recon available. Obviously 0 point, not up. So they sort of dry face check and get punished.
This defensive setup from TSM too is very unconventional. The KO and the Sova have been swapped sites completely. Core don't have to worry about the Odin presence right on B main wall. Ziff can aim check this for free.
Yeah.
And now
they're hedging for a B hit, I think. They want to use null command reactively.
They have to. They're just waiting for that Cypher to be pressured out. But that means too, any flash presence would not help Sim if they did want to push up at all. That's not in the MO of TSM. They're willing to give up mid yet again post timeout.
Yeah, Sim has been holding that sort of heaven angle with an operator at hand or otherwise. This round no different. Core sort of waiting for the timing of some of this replenishable utility to come back. So here's that second wave of it. Flash there, poised lit. Okay, by that recon. Again, doesn't really tell you a huge amount if you're Core. And Hunter's Fury now being drawn out. Poised, expecting behind that recon, there'd be some action in tree. That's not the case though. Again, it's a group up in mid for Core.
This is such a great call from Core's side. They notice the Sova out of position, not on B, no Odin left available. They feint that presence back over towards Marketplace, and they dip back in the tree, attempting to force out a rotate. The TSM stay.
Yeah, they're going to be hitting a fully stacked site, or a 3-player stacked site at the very least here over at A. To be Sim for first contact. Here it is, Zeldris going over the top towards Jen, and he's going to be good with the knives. Gimon almost found a second there. The spray transfer, though, not quite as adroit as he otherwise would have liked, and in a flash, TSM are down to 2 players. At the death of the round, the spike is planted. Ziff now going to group up over towards Jen as that door is open care of the fragment.
Big body differential here, Proto. Neural Theft available, doesn't want to waste it here on surely a lost round. Post timeout too. Remember, it gives time for Core to talk as well. A site control, B site, 2 rounds in a row where these aggressive defaults have found so much impact. TSM is playing too slow. They have to push up here. They have to play for first contact.
Yeah, they ain't doing anything. They are going to chill and save these guns. Core with a 5th attacking round? Might be a day for upsets here, if you can even call it that. Vansili was ardently speaking the virtues of Core in that pre-game. You start to see why here. This is absolutely a comfortable arena for them.
You know, I will be the middle ground. I would say, yeah, Core, they've been ramping up their production, doing so well for their attack, but I mean, 5 rounds for any starting attacking side of a team in Challengers is honestly an upset in of itself. This is a map where everyone should know how to bypass and take down attackers. It usually becomes a battle of these defensive teams, bringing it all the way to overtime. But if Core can continue this pace, especially into the second half, we might not see overtime at all.
Neural Theft here for both sides, and a Omen for Gimon. This time a bit more proactive in mid TSM. Not a great buy though. Sim as a judge and as a bulldog for Gimon himself. So leave that B site alone just with the util to populate it. We've got a push up here on A main as Sim. Not sure where that damage was taken early in the round.
Yeah, I must have... It was a shock bolt from T-Dog. Great timing there.
Oh no! Come on, young blood. There's always going to be someone covering this over there.
I'm lucky.
Well, what do you do?
This is such a ratty setup from TSM too, and it could have worked in dividends if Core had played the same game plan as before, but they've swapped it up. They're not going for that aggressive default. They're not blindly lingering into mid, hoping for the best either. Great Neural Theft deployed by Ziff.
7 lit. Now lit a second time for Core. No, he was really manning that corner. T-Dog hoping to clear him back there. Smoke thrown out, also recon to play from behind, and Ziff can just stand out here in the open in main. Powerful position. 7 tried to flash his way in, and it's going to be a trade over on that A site. Spike in tree at the moment. Gimon trying to spray down through this smoke with a bulldog, but he's down to 5 HP. And Ziff carving a swathe onto the A site. And once again, a Proto is going to put his feet up, kick back, and let this round elapse.
This is becoming a big issue. The big players that you see defensively on this map have to be the Sova Odin and Operator Jet, neither one of which have made a big appearance so far this half. Odin hasn't been shown at all. Sim had Operator for 1 rifle and found no impact with it except for 1 kill. This, again, two teams without a killjoy. Very unusual to see, especially with the Cypher lockdown. Willing to give up A so much more easily. Or are essentially given A Cypher free round after round.
Well, the problem is there's all this, like, the Cypher util set up, obviously, to gain information when there's a site hit. That's not happening early in the round. Neither team are really playing into the opposing Cypher setups. So defenders just don't know what attackers are up to. They have to take some risks in order to get that information. And more often than not, QOR can make an educated guess about the setup here. I mean, this situation for Sim, like, okay, you kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, but they're ready for that. They know the Al drone, if there's someone playing forward, is going to precipitate a push. And you have players covering this over. That just, you know, that's really on virtue of it being a weaker buy for TSM in general, but it doesn't get much better.
I mean, TSM are just hoping that this is such a reactive game that they can play for themselves, but it hasn't worked once. Okay, I like this aggressive push-up from B main. This is what I wanted to see. Triggered. Oh, but the early cage comes through. That's a shutdown in and of itself.
Well, now you know all you need to know if you are QOR about TSM setup here over at B. Obviously, they've played against this many times before. And boys are forced to be reckoning with here. T-Dog's brought the Odin for the first time now into the game. The Cypher util switched over towards the A side here. And our drone does its thing, clears mid. There's not even a tripwire to speak of there. QOR have their pick of the litter now.
Big info found by Poised. Had a big question mark about initiator utility going to the early rounds. If QOR can find so much value in the early rounds taking space, where's the info? There it is.
I think Seven's too close to the null command. Couldn't use any of that util himself. So it ends up being a favored trade for QOR, who just move up onto the site. Only Sim sat there in CT. And the rest of TSM are just far too far away. This will now give time where you can ease into powerful post-plant positions with a healthy bit of util. Gimon Smoke just come back online to refresh the one towards CT. There's a Paranoia available as well. Nerve, though. None of the above. So TSM need to make use of this Paranoia somehow, get on in. This is such a classic retake scenario. With no presence in market, TSM almost feel like they're giving it up.
Paranoia not even initiated for the push-in from Sim.
Standing.
Where's the utility? This has been a fantastically called half from T-Dog. And TSM, they've been slow to the draw every single round. There was no utility dump, not even an attempt at a proto once more has to stay for, what, Mitch? 3 rounds in a row?
Yeah.
At least?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, again, TSM don't have the ability to get this info early. They just cannot do it.
But they should. They have Poised. They have 7.
And they saw a player inside B main, right? They saw Ziff there, and Poised just like wallbangs a bit, gets some decent damage. But it tells you so little, like about what the intent is in terms of where QOR are trying to end up. And it's early in the round. They have so many options.
They do. Sim stacked up already with 7 and Gimon. They have double, triple flash potential and a knife to shut down any A main presence.
And nothing's going to happen right now. Because there's no QOR presence over towards A. And I think like the fact that there's no one-way here should be a dead giveaway for Nerve.
They're hoping for a re-rotate back over to A site and catch them off guard.
It
might work.
I don't hate this at all.
I'm pretty sure the angle Sim's at can't be flashed by the KO.
Love that shoulder peek.
Oh,
man, they
no.
just know. They just know.
If you took down T-Dog, you wouldn't have to worry about the ult.
And they're also out-droning this, so they're going to get the confirm of the complete abandonment of that position by TSM. So they force the operator off of the shot. Oh man, it's so good. Seldris. Thanks for coming.
Oh. And that should promote a split push to B main, but now that the operator's gone, there's less of a presence on A. 50 seconds left. QOR don't have to commit yet. They can choose if they want to go tree instead.
Okay, so our refreshing utils come back online here. I think T-Dog really just confirming that like the B side hasn't been abandoned with that recon. Okay. Hunter's Fury.
Really confirming it.
Check Boathouse. Yeah, okay, so lights up Proto.
30 seconds
And he sees a
left.
Cypher, not a over there. But yeah, this is like very, very slow here. And that, yeah, Paranoia, okay, it might allow the KO to get in there. Have to wait on the timing though for T-Dog to join Snarly. Then they're going to get across. So we're looking at a post-plant scenario here with no Heaven presence set up yet for TSM.
little overzealous from Core, though, with some of these plays, especially from T-Dog.
Ziff, gonna wish he had that one back. No flash here. Can only spray it as well. Finds
What?
2 for it. Yep, that is brilliant. 7 here doesn't really know. Has no idea about the setup here on the side. A Proto will, but it'll be in a 1 versus 2. He has a window before Ziv gets here, and he knows he needs to take it. Take the fight, but Snarly just a little bit better. That's 8 attacking rounds for Core. This is a horrendous start to the map for TSM.
Yeah, horrendous is... I would almost say that's an understatement. TSM, they haven't changed a lot about their general game plan from the start of this game. There are glimpses of proactivity, desperately what they need to win these rounds, that are brought out in the first 30 seconds, and then they slink it back onto sites, playing so fortified. But these fortifications are being broken down so quick by Core, just by playing slow. This is going to be a fast play now from Core.
I like it.
Okay, good, that's proactivity.
Traded out though there. Weird little sort of one-way cage there over towards main. Kimon's able to get to the site here, but it's awkward, and he's going to be spotted by the recon. They can now double face here over towards Gen. The fragment thrown back. Kimon doing well to at least get his. And Sin now appears with the knives. Good for one, but drops down, almost drops down rather. Looked like he'd be taking a very aggressive slant on this round, but TSM get themselves back, save a little bit of face here. But 4 defending rounds,
Switching sides.
well, if they don't find a pistol here, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have essentially the same exact mirror comp on Ascent, it's so common, but you need to win all the attacking rounds you can to have a very safe defense. And Core, they've already won 8 of those attacking rounds. They are looking nice and dandy for this side. And TSM, they have to have prepped up for this attack. They need to have a different game plan going into this. They were 1-0 on that defense. The 1 round Core played pretty standard, fast into A site. They got shut down so quick. That's what TSM was planning for this entire time.
1 outing for TSM on this map. All of Challengers this year. And honestly, I think they had a decent defending round against SAD. They got that. Well, they only won 5 rounds of defense against SAD, rather, so maybe not what they were hoping for, but
And
not
look,
losing
this is
that.
a big correction from last week. Core went 4-13 versus M80 on this map.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? The difference. They look extremely well rounded here. Not really a foot out of line.
The calling's been immaculate. Everyone knows exactly what they need to do. It's beat of the round.
All right, too busy here. Getting busy. Maybe too busy. Plant down now, and again, it'll be the 3-player stack over towards B from Core, making his way across. Poise should be good for 1 at minimum here, and he delivers. So pistol round essentially secured here now for TSM. That was the bare minimum in order for them to have a chance to take in this map. Just now in Zeldris, this is a drill that they're running, nothing more. Heading to a post plant. There's paranoia up here for Gimon. Another 0 point to confirm.
One enemy
When we go to
remaining.
Gen, Proto 7 both have the angle, and that'll be that. TSM, 5 rounds here to the 8 of Core. It's time to get busy and stack up these attacking side rounds.
Absolutely necessary from TSM. Very well put themselves, great attacking calls, really good lead in on how to take those opening picks from Sim as well. And the circle back about Core too is that they're a very unusual outlier on Ascent, where they are a team that usually does convert more attacking rounds than their defense. That 4-13 I just mentioned, they won 1 defense round versus M80. And they brought out virtually the same comp, barring Ziff, bringing out KJ instead of Cypher.
Standing ahead.
Is that going to be a big enough change to win more of these defense rounds? Oh, Sim nearly took away T-Dog.
Zeldris here looking to play off of a timing, but there's no flash agents over at B for Core. They're really selling this. They're going for it. This might end up bringing the spike their way. Of course, Kimon doesn't have TP, so this is going to get walked by 7. At the end of the site, can you get pretty deep, apparently. TSM here, taking it slow and steady.
I was going to say, this could be a fake push at first for B main. Gimon, semi-aware now with KO's presence. Definitely the shots now. Not even necessary to take the fight. It's been such a great disassembly from the heads of Sim.
Yeah, and a couple like variations thrown in there, I think, by Core. Trying to get a player embedded there in mid. Catch something at the very least. But TSM haven't really been slowed down. They lose no guns in that previous round. Some slight upgrades here. Then you see a Proto just taking a Sheriff instead. Someone who I really fear. I would fear having a face with that weapon in his hand. Core, standard buy-ups here. T-Dog really trying to hold it down on B with that Odin. We'll try and buy it as early and often as possible.
I'll just keep in mind, has been doing nothing but playing VALORANT post-graduation. Looking to go for the aggressive flash setup here off of the hands of the KO. Enough of a tripwire, not the usual alarm bot that we see.
To see a lot of action. The spray transfer couldn't be there. A Proto and a Sheriff. Again, it's dirty. That's the Vandal recovered. Core have now an opportunity to try and bolster this B side. Behind T-Dog and his Odin. Yeah, nicely done. A Proto there just falls to pieces. And T-Dog's going to rotate back to the side after being hit with that paranoia. Zip already posted up in Boathouse. This could be dangerous. The spray has already begun, but TSM win it out there. They have the numbers on site in a 2 versus 2. Gimon now happy to turn this Odin back around on Core. Will be lit by the 0 point.
Huge information. Buys enough time now for Nerve to rotate through B main. One smoke, one paranoia available. Paranoia will be a great entryway to the backside.
Playing off this absolutely paramount.
It missed.
It doesn't catch. Now Core have to find another way to gain an edge here. Or is it going to get sprayed down in a hail of bullets? Gimon might have to reload in a moment, though. That's something worth tracking. Poise is too low, though.
6 bullets.
Enemy remaining.
Well, that's enough to stop the defuse at the very least here. Gimon looking for a weapon, but this might expose him. The Sheriff doesn't quite get him there. Nerve on that defuse now. Oh, he's not going to make it. That is ridiculous. TSM there get a reprieve as the Zippo clutch comes up. A Pyrrhic victory. But their economy is still in an okay spot after how they started this half, so they'll take it.
Absolutely. A great fighting chance, though, from Core 2. Great chance of retaking in a 2v2. But the buys are not looking good. The best thing you have in your arsenal now is going to be 3 light shields. Snarly close to maybe getting null command. Don't want to bring it out unless you can gather weapons into this round. Protoss 1-up null command. Ult cycling across the board now from TSM looking great. This could be an opportunity now for Core. Recognizing that. They could fight for orb control here. Make sure no one can gather any. Deny out the Hunter's Fury potential into the next round. Double flash potential outside B main. They're just there to wait to pop off of it. No flashes outside A. Owl drone spots nothing mid.
Take flight.
Really standard anti-eco protocols here.
Oh, but Mitch, that owl drone at the very end from Core, they must have spotted the owl drone from TSM. There is some presence mid now. No one's going to rotate because of that. Now there has to be the watch in mid just in case.
Down to a minute in the round. We have double trips here over on that A site. They've got a clear main here, so TSM give away their positioning in favor of playing safe against this pistol bite. And they have left Proto right back here, playing off his own camera, which has now been removed. So he knows there's a bit of aggression here in B, mate. And he can't really sell anything to Core without taking a big risk against the Sheriffs. So he'll back away as well.
They sold the recon bolt, though. They may have the chance to get this drop on A side with no defenders around. Only one. Make that 2.
They get here. There's one in tree. I don't think there's really anything that T-Dog could have done. He just allows this to happen. 3-player stack over towards Heaven. It's going to be a retake with pistols against an armed to the TSM squad. And here they come, one after another. And they fall in the same fashion. It's just T-Dog and Zeldris left, who have opted now to group up over towards Heaven with the Sheriffs. It's all but impossible here. Core are going to see this game even up. TSM are figuring it out on this attacking side after a lackluster defense. They found a momentum here at a crucial moment. Round 16 sees an even game.
Show me where to go.
This is so topsy-turvy compared to what we've seen all of Challengers. A battle of the defense, now a battle of the attack. Core desperately need to go for a timeout any round now. It's going to be hard, though. They'll give an opportunity for TSM themselves to reconvene. But Core themselves overwhelmed by these end-round pushes. A lack of information now from both these defending teams has made things so hard for mind games. And now look at the response. More aggression outside of mid. This time, the more flash of potential. T-Dog, though, with a shock as well. Operator, mistiming.
In heaven we go. A little bit of a messy exchange there. 0 point lights up the KO, so 7. Slows it down, and that's a huge recon. Huge recon for Core. T-Dog lines it up and is trying to help get them to recover this operator potentially, or at least repost up on this aggressive angle. And that is a stunning fragment. Seven stuck in the corner, had no way to get out. He would have walked into the line of fire either way. And TSM are going to go for it. Caution to the wind they throw. It's poisoning Gimon. The former actually top of mid here. It's a decent crossfire, but Gimon is going to put himself in a position where he can't be traded. And T-Dog brings him down. Okay, we see the foot of nerve there. Paranoia, though. Bruh, that is brutal. TSM cannot get an advantage there. So awkward.
Great pacing change from Core, recognizing the fact that they themselves now have to play so proactive. Great opening pick from Zeldris, bringing out the operator, traded out, sure, but you got rid of Sim. Sim has been the spearhead for the majority of these rounds from the attack of TSM. They themselves have an operator, and could be a big benefit for Core themselves. I know that sounds weird, but Sim, he's been so good about being just ahead of the pacing of Core, catching them off guard, getting these opening picks. But that operator's gonna tether him. He's gonna have to stay with the rest of his team and maybe not even play entry.
Well, well. Sim here tries to take what looked like a jump peek there and just gets absolutely battered. Things now starting to slide once again out of TSM's hands just as they strung together so many important attacking rounds here. They've just handed the operator over to one of their teammates and they've given a player advantage to Core. Null Command is up here for Snarly. Maybe hoping to preempt a fast hit, but there's no way to get that info now. Play off Zeldris' contact, maybe. Snarly just doesn't want to make use of that ability here. They will smoke to delay.
They've lost their smokes, they've lost their entry potential. All you have left now is info gathering and anti-flank. There's really no distance you can make on this map on the attack. At this point, you're just waiting for Core to overextend and farm for ults. 50 seconds left, you may have a chance to fight through mid, but that tripwire is still active. No space has been made by TSM this round.
And Zeldris is not going to be scared off this angle. Like you mentioned, there is just no utility to force you to post off this. Outside of that, okay, so Aldrin is there. Zeldris gives it up, but he can repost off of Snarly's contact, but they lose out. Always had an operator. That got passed around after Sim got picked off at the start of the round over at A main. Beautiful start. Wow. Boys really improvising here. A MacGyver-esque effort for TSM to give themselves a road now to a round win. And Ziff has it all to do.
What a tilting round for Core. A round that should not have been losable whatsoever. And now Ziff has to force the save. One by one, Core were taking fights. Their overconfidence got the best of them. They've lost the operator in the process. They've lost their lead. We're back to a tied game. And you could not have asked for a better opening, Mitch.
I mean, yeah, it was looking horrendous for TSM at the start of the round. They lose a dry peak. Ziff just blows Sim up while he tries to swing that operator A main early.
Look, if you're a TSM fan, that's a miracle round.
I mean, Poise just went ham.
Yeah,
that playthrough cat was ridiculous. Zeldris was like passively holding angles. So credit, they forced him off with the Owl drone, and then you think, okay, well, who was it? Nerve or Snarly, I think, trying to play, from door. Maybe give Zeldris a chance to post back up, but they didn't have the util to give Zeldris that space.
I mean, they were thinking, we don't need that util. We have the angles to use here. We should be good with Zeldris' up, but the Cyber Cage blocking his field of view and just straight up missing shots from there. That's rough. And TSM now go for a timeout their own. Surely, I'm sure this was called before they ended up winning the round. And at this point, you have to wonder, okay, these very, very slow attack rounds have worked in dividends for both teams. Core have been on the right track by playing more proactive in the beginning, but towards that mid to late round, that hurt them devastatingly in the end.
Now TSM making Core stew in it for a little bit. We haven't exactly seen the things that we alluded to that gave us confidence in Core on this map. We haven't seen Zeldris take the game over. We haven't seen T-Dog just be indomitable over on that B side necessarily. He's getting rotated around a bit. And I think we're seeing a lot of proactivity from Core in some of these rounds, right? Evidenced, I think, by, the kill on Sim right at the beginning of that round 18, excuse me. So they're going for these plays, but the round should not have gone the way it did, I think, with Poise just muscling his way through cat into tree with an operator.
This is going to be a big test of patience, though, from TSM. 4 ults available. 9 times out of 10, teams would steamroll on the B side with all of them. But that has proven not to be the attacking move for either one of these teams. They play it slow. Surely now 7 must preserve their life to be able to use that null command directly on one of the 2 sites. The value here from all these ults, especially if you can make it last more than 1 round, could very well be the surefire way for TSM to convert map 1. Owl drone towards mid. Cypher camp spotted. Smoke goes down immediately. No presence really found information-wise on A main.
Yeah, and also there's no one trying to play off of an owl drone there on the side of TSM. So no info really garnered by the camera that Ziff had set up there in mid, and that gets destroyed from top mid eventually anyway.
Boys may try to sell this B-side take, but without an ult behind it, I don't think Core are going to fall for it.
Honestly, Sim doesn't seem that, or rather, Poise doesn't seem that invested in selling it either. Like a gainful Hunter's Fury on a more stacked site might put you in a better position. So T-Dog gets a light up in mid here. This is going to force out the Hunter's Fury, we'll say. Null command also getting popped here in this round. Poise going to reciprocate.
30 seconds left.
Checking tree, checking the front of that A side. Yeah, no one gets anything off those Hunter's Furies. For a time here, T-Dog was suppressed, playing inside the smoke. Cybercage now falls. TSM, though, swarming over this A side. Core, valuable opportunity now to retake, but their guns are a little odd. They've got a stinger on T-Dog. It's why he's playing so close inside that smoke, and he gets value out of it. He actually gets the jump on a Proto. No one watching trees somehow. That's an opportunity now for the defenders. T-Dog cannot recover a weapon there, but still has recon available. Sim chimes in, though. It's Nerf falling here over to that tree direction. And Sim now, with the knives, attempting to make something happen from over the smoke, but Ziff is in. Now we'll deal with Gamon. Wins that one out as well. Sight now trending over towards Core, and from A main, there has to be a recovery from TSM. Poise has to make this work. There's a player on the defuse. Poise tries to go for it, and Snarly is ready. Core snatch this round back. The Newton's Cradle of Valorant carries on.
I'm wondering, is this going to be the future of Ascent? Just these slow, worming plays across the extremities, very different from what we've seen.
Existence, Keg. Don't
Honestly,
do that.
You say that? This might be the most fun Ascent I've seen this year. Given the compositions. Like, if we go over to like, APAC, right, and you have like your Neon, Sages, whatever, yeah, that's fun too. But like this isn't even like, I don't even know how to describe this, dude. This is entirely a mental battle.
It's volatile too, because you have these like, you know, maybe extended sort of slower periods at the start of the rounds, but the side hits are very frenetic because you're hitting 5v5. There's no picks to start a round at all. T-Dog just dry repost that angle. What? The audacity, and takes him down.
Sofa. Okay.
I just can't believe no one sets him up for that repost. He just goes for it. What a timing.
I mean, these hero plays from Core have been very strenuous, sure, but it works. TSM aren't expecting it.
T-Dog was able to use that owl drone. Doesn't look like they get position off of it. But Snarly's on the site, able to find one. Nerve comes through the door, but is cut short. And a Proto just, all right, challenges through that smoke as well. Chaotic, to say the least. Seven's made it a 1 versus 1. T-Dog fakes it. 7 not buying it. Not for a second. And it's back and forth stuff. The Zippo clutch for 7. 3 in the round. And TSM get their 10th.
I can't wrap my mind over this game. This is complete topsy-turvy from how teams normally just fight for defense rounds over and over. But no, this is attacker-sided Ascent. Yeah, and Core, I'd go for a timeout too. Frustration clearly seen by a lot of these rogue swings, especially from T-Dog in the beginning of that round. Throwing everything at the wall to see what they can do.
I mean, there's audacity from both sides here, I think. Like, T-Dog...
There is.
You know, T-Dog is in that position where he does not have to swing that angle again. He could owl drone it and then repost up if it's safe to do so, but he knows the hit is coming in fast, so he just picks an opportunity to take a timing and it works off. Like, Sim just gets wrecked. Probably pretty frustrating for Sim, who was updrafting out of his own cloudburst there. But then, like, a Proto just walks through smoke. You know, there's like really messy fighting on site for TSM and that post plant in general. There's people just dry challenging from door. Neither of these teams are offering each other any respect. Not scaring of it.
All I'm saying is that everybody I see on these cameras are locked in. Not a single smile on their faces. They want this win. And I don't blame them. This has been one of the most difficult ascents I've seen for both these teams. It's been a big upgrade for Core since their bout against M80 last week. They only won 1 defense round there. And this half, they've only won 2. already an upgrade, sure, but their attack was really carrying them a lot more than I thought. Seven's one off getting null command. You could fight for the orbs here, and Snarly's going to do just that. B main. Held by an Ares with T-Dog, ensuring again, you cannot get that orb.
Camera sees it. Sim inching his way up. T-Dog knows he needs to wait until they step up a little further. Good damage. Sim with the operator down to 44. Strong breeze to blow him over at this point. And Snarly, oh, he was playing close today, man. I actually think they swung that in the end. Double-faced it with Sheriffs into a solo player. No chance to get the gun back, but still.
Oftentimes, losing your smokes that early on the attack should spell the end of the round, but that hasn't proven the case for either of these teams. Back to the tree we go.
That could be the end of Sim. He swung into some wallbang spam.
Oh
T-Dog with the
you're
Ares. God of War coming at you. That's an operator drop there. Sim was just so determined to make something of that at 44 HP. What is this round, mate? Okay, 7. He's the last man standing. Fragmented tree trying to split this fight up. He does get the 1v1 against Zeldris. Clean stuff. It allows him to recover the spike. Now, only one player in his vicinity to deal with. And Nerv is going to play for retake because he has nothing but a bloody frenzy to work with.
Null command, too. You can shut down any potential util, especially T-Dogs.
I feel like we'll have at least the recon up in the next few seconds, I'd say. Wow, would you believe it? 7's in the side after planting. Neural theft there reveals the position of the lone attacker. 7 has to salvage another round for TSM. Wouldn't be the first 3+ K he's found, but T-Dog again takes his time and Core inch ever closer to the magic number here. TSM's money as well. It's pretty slaughtered.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, if you're TSM, you're looking at that eco. You're looking to maybe fight for overtime. A very long fought round again from Core.
And the first Thrifty I think we've seen all day.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of rounds that I feel like could have been Thrifties with these weird buys from both series. But yeah, first one officially marked. T-Dog does have that Hunter's Fury. Been very liberal with its usage. 7 still remains with that null command. Probably not going to be used when you have nothing but 2 stingers at the best of your arsenal. But then again, this is all grouped up B. This could be a fantastic rush in on B with that ult.
The Speedway trip, though, could be a big one.
But not if it's null command.
Oh, that's actually not trip, sorry. That's just the camera. Yeah, you're right. Null command can shut it down. Zeldris. Okay. Sim goes towards market. Caught by Zeldris instantly. That slowed things down proper good. Flash out. Zeldris forced off the angle. Now TSM can get in. We'll fall back to Boathouse. And Gimon was waiting inside market for the rotate. Inevitably, it came through. Nerve, though, a little bit more conservative this time. Rewarded with a kill, but taken down to 2 HP. Snarly will be there as well, though. It's just a proto. Tries to walk out into the open. Naked as the day he was born. Nothing but the 6-shooter at his hip and the big iron. Ain't gonna cut it.
I can feel the tension in the server from here. Now TSM truly had to fight for overtime now. Core, their map pick. Big turnaround from the last few times they played this map. And their ult cycling is looking fantastic too. We've remarked on 7's ult, but now Snarly one away from the reverse. Operator still in hand from Zeldris now, waiting back of A site. This is the more comfortable site for TSM, and that's where they're stacking up. Fantastic call now. Snarly immediately taking its A main angle, may look for the flash. No. They go for the molly instead.
He might have been tracking a play for orb here for Poise.
My ult is ready.
I think he was expecting some pressure here. So some util parted with by TSM, but they've got the Hunter's Fury in exchange. And Nerve had no choice but to give that up, or rather Snarly, to back away over towards the A site. And we might be seeing a... What has precipitated this rotation by T-Dog over towards grass, over to garden here?
There was that shock bolt. Didn't destroy any of Core's defensive utility. They must be expecting TSM not to play as linearly as they have the last few rounds.
Deploying drone.
Owl Drone could spell out here, reversal. My big fear is that this could spell out a big fake towards B site. Will T-Dog rotate is the big question. There hasn't been any jump peak spotting towards mid site.
Sif doing it now.
This is a battle of intuition now. Core, they're sticky on A site.
Okay, so the noise cut here for TSM. Actually read by Core. Now command thrown down. Zeldris, no chance to post up on this angle unless he does it raw. But Snarly was tucked in the corner and Zeldris had an opportunity to swing out. This could be it for TSM. Down to Poise and Gimon, nothing more. Mildred sails down from heaven and ends it.
Defenders win.
Core take away Ascent. They're the second map win of the stage against a TSM who, again, continue to look lackluster and frankly a little confusing at times. And the audacity to give this Ascent map over towards Core. They make good on that map pick and they get themselves a huge win.
A battle of wits. There's no other way of putting it. That was a calling difference between both teams, but it was so close. You can't even really call it a difference. It was down by just a few rounds, Mitch, and realistically, it just took who had the better opportunities to take advantage of what they had.
Yeah, really slow, meticulous gameplay from both sides, but Core, again, so well drilled on that map, and also they won that 50 round. That's a huge difference maker.
Yeah.
And their anti-eco protocols were also very solid. TSM did not have the chance to do the same to them. We'll be back, in this best of 3. Core take away the first map Ascent, but there's much more to play, so don't go too far. This is your Challengers on a Thursday afternoon. Yeah, that's what day it is. See you later.
Oh.